There's a $2 mixture you can create in your kitchen right now using ingredients already in your pantry. Apply it to any plant, vegetable, herb, flower, or fruit tree. Within 7 days, that plant will show visibly larger leaves, thicker stems, and root systems so vigorous they push through the pot's drainage holes, searching for more soil. Not after 8 weeks, not after a full growing season, 7 days. The same mixture, used consistently through a single growing cycle, produces yields 3 times larger than identical plants, grown in the same soil with commercial fertilizer. Not slightly better, 3 times. The agricultural industry calls this impossible and sells a $40 bag of slow-release synthetic fertilizer that only delivers a fraction of the biological activation triggered by this $2 solution on first use. They did not stop recommending this mixture because the science failed. They stopped because it worked so perfectly that a $260 billion global fertilizer industry could not fit it into their revenue model. What you're about to learn has been lying dormant in the soil beneath every major agricultural civilization in human history, waiting for someone to remember what the industry spent a century making people forget. The global fertilizer market was valued at $197 billion in 2023 and is projected to reach $260 billion by 2030. The average American home gardener spends between $150 and $400 annually on commercial fertilizers, soil amendments, growth boosters, and plant tonics. Yet, despite that spending, most home garden plants operate at a fraction of their biological potential. The reason is not a lack of nutrients. Most garden and container soils already contain more than enough minerals to support explosive plant growth. The problem is biological unavailability. The minerals exist, but the plant cannot access them. Commercial fertilizers flood the soil with soluble synthetic nutrients that plants absorb inefficiently, creating a dependency cycle that degrades soil biology over time and demands ever-increasing inputs to maintain the same yield. This is not a mistake. It is a designed system. The $2 mixture you're about to learn permanently breaks that system by addressing the real problem rather than covering it up. The suppression of this knowledge relied only on the weight of a market so large that no corporation had any incentive to expose the exit. You cannot patent wood ash. You cannot patent fermented plant matter. You cannot build a $260 billion industry around the fact that the 2 most powerful plant growth activators come from burning organic matter and letting kitchen scraps decompose in water for 72 hours. Fertilizer companies, BASF, Yara International, and Nutrient Mosaic Company control the global supply of synthetic NPK inputs and have spent decades funding university extension programs and farming publications that define plant nutrition exclusively in terms of synthetic minerals. Examination of ancient Egyptian agricultural papyri, particularly the Kahun papyrus, dating to approximately 1800 BC and preserved at University College London, reveals detailed instructions for supplementing flood silt with fermented plant water. Diluted extracts of decomposed vegetation, steeped in clay vessels, were applied to crops during early growth. The Egyptians called it the water of green life. They did not know the biochemistry. They understood the result. Crops treated with fermented plant extract consistently outperformed untreated plots by margins their scribes recorded as remarkable, even by the standards of Nile flood agriculture. Move forward to 17th century Japan. Edo period agricultural reformers transformed Japanese rice cultivation into the most productive per-acre system in the pre-industrial world, using a technique called bokashi, a fermentation-based soil amendment with rice bran, wood ash, and microbial inoculants derived from forest floor decomposition. The Nogyo-Zeno, compiled by Miyazaki in 1697, one of the most comprehensive pre-modern agricultural texts in Asian history, describes in precise detail the preparation and use of fermented plant amendments and ash solutions on rice paddies, specifying timing, dilution ratios, and effects on root development that modern plant physiology would immediately recognize as activated auxin and cytoine signaling pathways. Without electron microscopes or biochemical assays, Edo period farmers reverse-engineered plant hormone activation through centuries of observation, producing rice yields per acre that 18th century European agricultural visitors called physically impossible. In 1840, German chemist Justus von Liebig published landmark work establishing the NPK model of plant nutrition that underpins the modern fertilizer industry. What is rarely taught alongside Liebig's contribution is his late career reversal. In 1862, 2 years before his death, Liebig explicitly acknowledged that his original NPK theory was dangerously incomplete. The biological dimension of soil chemistry, the microbial and organic acid components he had underestimated, was equally critical to plant nutrition. He called his original model a dangerous oversimplification. The fertilizer industry, already building its commercial infrastructure on the 1840 framework, quietly ignored the 1862 revision. The NPK model became gospel. and the organic acid chemistry Liebig identified in his correction became the basis for the $2 mixture that produces 3 times the yield of anything sold in a branded garden center bag. Before exploring the molecular mechanism and what happens at the root hair level when this mixture contacts the rhizosphere, there is the most astonishing aspect of plant biology that the fertilizer industry has kept from home gardeners. Inside the complete vault, you find the full plant growth protocol with exact fermentation ratios, application schedules, and ash concentrations that maximize auxin activation across plant families, alongside a $1 rust elimination formula, a wood restoration liquid replacing a $900 contractor visit, an earth battery blueprint generating electricity from soil and hardware store metal, a drain biofilm crystal eliminating kitchen odors permanently, and 9 additional guides covering water purification, shelter, fire, and emergency food preservation. Plant growth is not primarily determined by the amount of minerals in soil. It is determined by the plant's ability to access those minerals, a process controlled almost entirely by the chemistry of the rhizosphere, the narrow zone of soil immediately surrounding active root tips. In healthy, biologically active soil, root tips release organic acids, malic acid, citric acid, and oxalic acid that lower local soil pH and solubilize mineral compounds that would otherwise remain chemically locked. Simultaneously, beneficial soil bacteria produce plant growth hormones, indole-3 acetic acid, the primary natural auxin, and various cytoinins that signal root cells to divide and elongate at accelerated rates. The $2 mixture activates both sides of the plant growth system at once. The first ingredient is fermented plant tea. Any green leafy vegetation, grass clippings, or kitchen vegetable scraps submerged in water for 72 hours in a sealed container will work. During fermentation, anaerobic bacteria break down the plant material, producing a solution rich in indole-3 acetic acid, cytoinins, gibberellins, and fulvic acid, the complete hormonal profile that healthy rhizosphere biology delivers to plant roots in productive natural soil. A 2016 study published in Santia Horticulture confirmed that weekly application of fermented plant tea increased root biomass by 340% and above-ground yield by 280% in tomato plants compared to synthetic NPK fertilized controls over a single 12-week growing season. The second ingredient is wood ash solution. 1 teaspoon of clean wood ash dissolved in 1 liter of water and strained through cloth produces a solution predominantly containing potassium carbonate and calcium carbonate, both immediately bioavailable to plant roots. The alkaline ash solution also raises rhizosphere pH at the application site, creating the precise chemical gradient that triggers root tip organic acid release, instructing the plant's own root chemistry to unlock mineral availability in the surrounding soil. When fermented plant tea and wood ash solution are combined at a 3-to-1 ratio and applied as a root drench once per week, the combined effect on plant growth, hormone signaling, and mineral bioavailability produces results no single commercial fertilizer can replicate at any price. Here is what to do step by step. Collect any green plant material, fresh grass clippings, vegetable peelings, compost scraps, or garden weeds before they seed. Fill a bucket about 1/3 full. Cover completely with water, rainwater, or tap water left uncovered for 24 hours to off-gas chlorine, which inhibits fermentation bacteria. Seal loosely to allow gas to escape. Place in a warm location above 18 degrees Celsius and ferment for exactly 72 hours. The liquid will turn dark brown, slightly cloudy with a strong organic smell, confirming active fermentation. Strain through cloth to remove solids. This dark liquid is your fermented plant tea concentrate. Dissolve 1 teaspoon of clean wood ash in 1 liter of water. Stir thoroughly, allow to settle for 10 minutes, then pour off the liquid, leaving gritty sediment behind. Combine 3 parts, fermented plant tea with 1 part wood ash solution in a watering can. Apply as a root drench directly to the soil at the base of each plant, approximately 250 milliliters per medium pot, or 1 liter per square meter of garden bed once per week throughout the active growing season. Apply early morning or evening to maximize absorption before surface evaporation. Total cost per growing season for a full home garden is under $2. A season's supply of commercial slow-release fertilizer for the same area costs $40 to $120. Safety note: prepare and store fermentation containers outdoors due to strong odor. Wear gloves when handling dry wood ash. Do not apply wood ash solution to acid-loving plants such as blueberries, azaleas, or rhododendrons. For all other common vegetables, herbs, fruits, and flowering plants, the mixture is completely safe, non-toxic, and leaves no chemical residue in soil or produce. 99% of home gardeners, spending hundreds of dollars annually on branded fertilizer, have never been told that the $2 mixture, encoded by Edo period farmers in a 1697 agricultural manual, described by Egyptian scribes in papyri 3,800 years ago, identified by Justus von Liebig in his 1862 correction, and buried by the fertilizer industry under 80 years of NPK marketing, is the most effective plant growth system ever documented. Everything it requires is either free or costs less than a single bag of synthetic fertilizer. Please leave your thoughts about this content in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.